And I now take the opportunity to introduce our second luminary, Ms. Shefali Chopra. She's a beautiful human being inside and out, a lady with a multitude of talents, certainly a people's person. She is a storyteller par excellence. Shefali, please tell us yourself about your kisse or kahaniyan.
Kisse kahaniyan. First of all, good evening, everybody. I'm so happy to be a part of this forum. I'm completely loving it. But I must tell you, I come from a little different dimension as a storyteller. मेरा कहना ये है कि हम सबके पास किस्से कहानियां होती हैं. कोई ऐसा नहीं जिसके पास नहीं होता. मगर हाँ, कईयों के पास हिम्मत नहीं होती और कईयों के पास ऑडियंस नहीं. I have both. I'm so lucky to have both. You know, we all are actually storytellers of our own lives. And what is beautiful is we also have the ability to change it. We are the writers, the directors, the actors, the editors of our own story. Nobody tells us this is your story. You have the time and the ability to change it any time that you want to. Today, when we were having this beautiful discussion, I realized that how beautifully the police force changed their whole attitude, you know, towards the public, and how public changed their attitude towards the police. This was a new dimension that came up. So it's a new story. It's a beautiful story. At the end of the day, we always have to remember, keep our story beautiful, pretty, prim, the way we like it. Because there is nobody who you can give the right to that you have to write my story. As a storyteller, we give this beautiful thing for people to imagine. We teach people how to hope against hope. And most importantly, a lot of times our own stories become like a manual for somebody else. Even in the business format, when you really explain something to somebody, if you attach a little story to it, it is always well understood, because the other persons also, they relate to it like that कि अगर ये कर सकते हैं तो हम भी कर सकते हैं. इनके साथ ऐसा हुआ तो हमारे साथ भी ऐसा हो सकता है. So it leads to a lot of positivity, if you ask me. And these stories kind of move from one
generation. Interrupting you, but tell us where some of the places where you have told these stories.
Well, initially, I must tell you that I have been to a lot of villages in Uttarakhand where I did my stories. I went to these beautiful schools in the villages where a lot of children come from that kind of background. And I was really privileged to do a lot of stories for them and for the community. Then I went to close to Ponta Sahib. There I also encouraged people with a lot of my stories, women empowerment through my stories, explaining to the community as basically how we can function as a better community. Other than that, there have been in the recent times, I was on the webinars with different schools, what stories and how the stories can create an impact on people. Because we really undermine the power of story. One story can actually change many, many, many lives.
Thank you. Shefali is also known to be a very well reputed motivational speaker. She has created positivity for a lot of people, but here I want to mention two platforms particularly. The first being for students and their parents, and the second, she has worked a lot extensively on empowering women. So Shefali, tell us something about these initiatives.
Realize how a little talk, so-called bati chiti or chit-chat, can change somebody's life. And I think because my mantra is actually connect over control. When I connect with somebody, even if it is for 2 minutes, I connect with like 200% of connectivity is what I want to give you. I want to hear your story. Unfortunately, these days, people are so carried away by this thing, like, like a buzz of doing things, that they don't really have time to talk to you or listen to you. So in that frame of mind, I have managed to actually sit with people and hear their stories and also give my side of the story. I would always tell people, see, it's like when you have a cup, and if it's empty, you cannot really pour it in, you cannot pour anything in the other cup, right? But if your cup, if you've got little water in it, you can always share. So whatever you are is what you are going to share with others. Even as employees, if you're a happy boss, you are going to make your co-workers and workers happy. And that's a fact. If you have negativity within you, you cannot give them positivity. So the whole structure is that spending time with people, in fact, at a big level, I've also spent a lot of time with elderly lot, hearing their stories, because unfortunately their children or siblings are busy with their own lives, and people don't really have time to sit with them and hear their stories. And I tell you, they have abundant of things to tell you. And sometimes it can really open your minds. And I actually tell people, this is a good time, pandemic time. Okay, fine, we're all at home. There is a lockdown situation. But yes, there is no lockdown for communication. There is no lockdown for stories. There is no lockdown for smiles. No lockdown for caring and connecting and, basic things like praying, smiles. We can all do that. This is free and it's available. This is a good time to connect with your own roots, if you ask me. But of course, we have to be little, you have to be conscious about these things to be able to do these things. And I think this is a good time. There's a big time paradigm shift in people's thinking. They're actually going to think back into roots and think like, oh yes, maybe this is the way I want a new world to emerge.
And what about women empowerment? What about something specific for women empowerment?
See, I personally feel women, unfortunately, I mean, we're not looking at the metros, all right? We are talking about villages. Here, people are still considered as, I'm sorry to say, but kind of second-graded citizens. But when these women, if they are given an opportunity, it's not just that they change their own life, they change the life of the village. As a community, they make a change. They make a change for their children, because suddenly there is a growth, there is a shift in their thinking, and it just changes everything around them. And that is beautifully. And I have seen that with my own eyes, how one woman can actually make a difference to the village with good amount of education or experience, basic things like you would do, like teaching them how to knit and stuff like that. They have transformed lives around them. They really have.
Right, that's nice. So Shefali, I believe you're also theatre exponent. I believe you've actually written plays and directed more than 13 plays. That's very interesting. Tell us something about that.
Been in this field for more than 13 years. Yes, you're right. I have written lots of plays. I was very passionate about it. I must tell you a little episode here. Because I'm a storyteller, I have to have some story. So I remember I went to this particular school about 13 years ago, and a friend of mine said, hey, listen, why don't you apply? In the school, they have a little place for a principal. So I landed up there, and they looked at me and they said, you are too young. I said, oh, and I had this little track in my mind, only old people get to be the principals. Why not young people? Anyhow, I had a good laugh with the woman there, and it was very interesting that after some time, somebody approached them for theater. Like some lady said, ma'am, please can you come and help? We have some issues with the play. Kids are making mistakes. She just apparently she asked me, she says, do you think you can help us with theater? I said, yes, why not? So I shared this story to tell you that please do not constrain your minds thinking that, okay, this is all I can do. I had gone there for something else, but I ended up doing something else completely different. And then I just became a success story, because what happened was my play actually got me a lot of accolades. And it was it was my luck that the play was based from Middle East. It was called Ali Coglia. And because I grew up in the Middle East, I studied there, my education, everything was in Dubai and Muscat. So I included all that from that time and era. So it suddenly transformed. So you never know where life just kind of changes you. And that was the beginning for me. I did productions like Buddha. It was based on Buddha. It was called Satya. I did Ganga. It was carried to the Kamani Auditorium in Delhi. I did many, many, many more plays. And I realized that what theater can do to you is something magical, because it just opens a person up. When children would come to me, they were like so raw. They were scared to speak. They didn't know what to say. They didn't have that kind of confidence. But, you know, when I would see them after maybe a month of training, and I would see, oh my God, there's this beautiful transformation in them. It really was.
Nice. That's very nice. That's very nice, Shefali. Now, there is also a very moving and touching aspect of our Sunshine Girl, and that is that she has been a organ donor. Now, when I heard about this, I really was very touched. And Shefali, I would request you to please share this with all our friends today.
Yes. Yes, it's a very beautiful part of my journey, of my life. In 2010, my mother was diagnosed with hepatic failure. So, which is, she needed, doctors had given hope. We knew she was sinking. She was slipping into, and that was the time when both of us, me and my brother, we were, we got into this like, okay, fine, we will give the liver. And I think it was very emotional for all of us, the time period. Me and my brother fought till the end. Like, I will do the needful, and he said he would like to. Well, I was lucky that my parameters were, like better compared with my mom than my brothers. I was selected. I can't tell you what it felt at that time, but that still come back to me. I was scared. I was definitely scared, but I had to be brave, and I had to show everybody like it doesn't matter. And I behaved so. And till the end, I never let anybody feel that exactly what was really going inside me. It wasn't easy. I mean, finally, on 13th of Jan, on the day of Lori, me and my mom were taken into the operation theater. It was a long drawn operation. I didn't realize that, this is something, it was life transforming for me, if you really ask me. I mean, I came out like a brave girl, 187 stitches, and feeling, wow, oh my God. But I realized it much later that I actually saved a life, that too of my own mom. And I mean, it was a crazy feeling, really. I can't even explain it to you today. Like, I did so much, but at that point of time, I didn't realize what I had done. And today, when I see my mom happy, laughing, smiling, traveling the world, and today's 2020, so these 10 years of her being with all of us, it is a fabulous feeling. And I keep telling people that, God forbid, if there is a chance where you have to sacrifice a part of your body and it's somebody else's life, please do that. It's something, it's like, like, मैं अपनी माँ की बेटी हूँ मगर मैं माँ बन गई. Now I am the mother of my own mom. So I keep telling her, I said, now you are my jigar ka tukda. Actually.
Right.
So
thank you so much for that, Shefali. I mean, sharing your liver for a liver transplant is big. It's only very recent that we've all got used to hearing about liver transplants, and I think that really was very brave. I'm sure everybody agrees with me. I think your experiences are going to be very motivating for all of us, because what you have done, I mean, I feel, is you have given of yourself. You reached out, you went to the children in the villages, you motivated them, you encouraged them, you empowered the women to, to take care of their own needs as much as their families so that they could serve them better. You have given of yourself in theater, because that's a wonderful form of communication as well as expression, as you said. And more than anything, you have been an organ donor. I think this is totally amazing, and we are all of us very motivated with your experience. Now, let me see if there are any questions. Okay, Mr. Rakesh Seth is saying, whether storytelling is an art or science. How can you become a good storyteller?
First of all, thank you for the question. I love the question, and I'm glad that a storyteller also gets to answer some of your questions. That's brilliant. See, for being a good storyteller, first and foremost thing is you should believe in the story. You have to believe in the story. One. Second, you have to make that beautiful connect. You cannot just give a story just randomly. That connect has to be so strong that when I say a story, it reaches everybody, because it's like my story. And even when I do stories for other people, I make sure I'm convinced about the story. So only when you are convinced about a thing can you convey it with that same passion and vigor. So for being a good storyteller, that's the first step. And of course, then you have to be good with the way you speak. You have to be good with the connection. You have to be in the same shoes